Good morning, friends, and welcome to the pre-market view. US pretty much washed off its gains of yesterday, as most of the markets were down almost about 1%, as the talks between the Republicans and the Democrats actually failed to have any kind of a breakthrough, and the president has actually rejected the plan proposed by Republican, which is called Plan B. Also, European markets were up about 0.5 to 0.8%, and we had some positive developments on the Greece front, as S&P has upgraded the Greece from a junk or select default category to slightly better outlook. Also, the ECB has actually opened path for cheaper funds for the Greece bank. So overall, the Greece situation is proving to be a little better. And when we look at the Asian markets, most of them are soft. And in terms of development, the Bank of Japan meeting for 2 days is going to start from today, and the expectations are that the bond purchase program target could actually move up from $1 trillion to almost about $10 trillion, and the target for inflation could be pegged at about 2%. The euro dollar continues to be at about 1.32, and we are seeing a very good strength in the crude and most of the other base metals. However, we had seen a very sharp cut in the gold prices in yesterday's markets. In terms of the flows, friends, it continues to be the same scenario, and FIs in the cash market were biased to the tune of about 1245 odd crore. A part of that could be because of that Reliance offer for sale, but even if you adjust for that, overall inflow continues, and the domestic institutions were sellers to the tune of about 365 odd crore. On that note, let me invite Shaival to take us through important F&O cues, ideas and strategies that we could have in the F&O market. Good morning, Shaival.
Good morning.
We had a very good start in yesterday's trade in the morning, but the market could not actually pick up from there on, and we closed somewhere pretty much flat. Have you come across any interesting built-up or any change in the IVs?
See, the PCR ratio has increased marginally from 1.07 to 1.08, and in yesterday's trade we have seen that marginal short positions have been built up with the rise in the market, but that is not a matter of concern because we are above our VWAP, weekly VWAP, so our bias for the market has turned now to positive, and 5,900 on closing basis would act as a good support for the market. The reason being 5,900 put option is having a pretty good amount of open interest, and on higher side 6,000 is still standing with open interest above the mark of 1 crore shares. So 6,000 would be the near term hurdle for the market, and on closing basis, as I said, for short term, from short term perspective, 5,900 would act as a good support for the market.
So what you're saying is that looking at the kind of open interest built up that we have seen in 5,900, and the fact that we have closed above the weekly VWAP, one can play for a 60 to 70 points kind of a spike in the Nifty. So with the stop loss of 5,900, one can play, let's say, up to 6,000.
Yeah, exactly. Because if we get a dip in the market, then 5,900 probably on closing basis could be maintained as a stop loss, and on higher side, say 5,970, 6,000 is what one can eye on.
Okay, and any other interesting ideas that you can share with us?
See, as a bias for the market is positive, and across the globe, the international markets are suggesting a positive move. So we'd like to play on the positive side. Ambuja cement is looking good, so one can maintain a stop loss of 208 rupees 60 paisa in that. Cipla, we have seen that a good amount of activity as well as a good run has been seen in Cipla. So we feel that the momentum would continue. So stop loss of 414.30 paisa from intraday perspective can be maintained in Cipla. And Tata Chemical is also looking positive, so one can maintain a stop loss of 345 rupees 65 paisa from intraday perspective.
Right, Shaival, thanks a lot for that update. Friends, back home yesterday we had a very strong start, but the market could not actually sustain the strength of the morning, and the major action was seen in the metal pack, Tata Steel, JSW Steel, and also some of the non-ferrous counters like Sterlite, Hindalco. And banking sector overall witnessed some amount of profit booking. Today, here are the important news and events that we are tracking. First of all, Eros Worldwide, a promoter entity of Eros International Media, is offering a sale of about 25,73,000 odd shares with a floor price of around close to 200. Friends, we've seen a sudden increase in the activity for offer for sale over the past few days because of the better market sentiment. So there are a number of other offer for sale are offering, and some of the investors actually could participate in this because it actually gives you an opportunity to enter into the stock at a slightly better price than the current prevailing market price. Adani Enterprise also is offering about close to about 2.3 crore shares. The floor price is not known, but remember that the Adani Enterprise stock has actually shot up from about 250 odd levels to about 290. So the floor price could be somewhere around 280 rupees. Also, Tata Communication is going to do an offer for sale to comply with the SEBI's requirement for the promoter holding. The Karnataka Bank's price movement has actually caught the attention of the regulator, and as we all know that the stock has actually shot up from 100 to almost about 180, 190 rupees, and the rumors in the market were that one of the private sector banks could possibly take over Karnataka Bank, and we had seen huge open interest built up also in the stock. So the SEBI is going to investigate into that matter. So you could expect some volatility in Karnataka Bank on the back of that. There is an indication that the new banking license could be on the fast track, as we all know that the bill for the Banking Amendment Act has been passed, and there are some companies which are buzzing very strongly on the back of the possibility of the banking license coming their way, and some of these companies are M&M Finance, L&T Finance, Bajaj Finserv, IDFC, so on and so forth. So you could expect some more movement in some of these stocks because of this indication from the government. For telecom, there are negative news as the DOT has gone ahead with a decision to have one-time spectrum fee for the existing telecom companies. So both Bharti and Idea, one could really look at shorting in today's market. Natco Pharma has announced that the US FDA has given approval to its ANDA filing, and on the back of that one can go long on Natco with a stop loss of 480 and a target of about 505 to about 515. Power Grid is likely to invest about 252 crore into transmission projects, and we've seen the stock remaining quite steady for past few sessions. So one could go long on Power Grid with a stop loss of 113.5 and a target of about 120 to about 122. Lupin has received US Healthcare's approval for the oral contraceptive drugs, and on the back of that one can go long on Lupin with a stop loss of 605 and a target of about 636 to about 649. And M&M has said that they are ready to launch a petrol SUV in the next about 6 to 8 months time, and this model they are targeting for some of the export markets. So one can go long on Mahindra with a stop loss of 949 and a target of about 997 to about 1015. And Stride Arcolab could remain in action, as there are indications that the company could enter into an investment agreement for sale of their overseas units with some of the MNC companies. We have seen some weakness in the Strides Arco, and there are indications that the selling by some of the P notes holders is almost done. So one can go long on Strides Arcolab with a stop loss of 1112 and a target of about 1169 to about 1193. And NMDC, there are some positive news as the government of Chhattisgarh has given a go ahead for their water requirement from one of the rivers. So one can go long on NMDC with a stop loss of 159 and a target of about 167.5 to about 170. That's it from all of us, friends. Have a nice trading session and see you tomorrow at the same time.